Hi, Carol. So let's take a look at your essay today about doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Here's what you wrote. The issue of whether doing a joyful activity with children can enhance their creativity more successfully and develop better skills than reading does has been controversial in recent years. I am inclined of this idea, and I will analyze both sides using examples from and to demonstrate points to prove arguments. Okay. Um, I like some of this. I like your rephrasing of the task. That was well done. But the second sentence has some problems for me. So let's talk about what those are. First of all, this is awkward. I am inclined of this idea. We don't say this. I know you're trying to say I am in favor of this idea. That would have been better. Sometimes, simpler language, it kind of gets a bad rap, but sometimes simple is exactly what you need, and sometimes it's all you need. So that's what I would have said here. I am in favor of this idea. Then the next question is about this, where you say I'm going to analyze both sides. There's no reason to do that, okay? Especially considering how you, uh, especially considering the fact that you say that you are in favor, okay? Now, why do I say that? Because it asks you to what extent do you agree. So it's I want to make this clear because I don't want there to be any sort of misunderstanding about this. You can talk about both sides. In fact, I'm always in favor of it. I think it leads to a richer essay. I think that it shows more critical thinking if you can find the benefits of both sides. However, if you decide to do that, then you really need to state it in your introduction. You need to say, while I think this, or while it is true that, I don't know, reading is very beneficial, on the whole, I think that other activities can develop skills and creativity better. So that would make sense because you've showed us that there's nuance here, that there's validity to both sides. So if you're going to analyze both sides, then you need to make sure that your position statement clearly explains this, okay? I hope that was a clear answer. I hope that makes sense. All right, so and then I didn't understand this. What does this mean using examples from? I think you left out a word. I'm not sure, but that was strange. So, yeah, the second sentence has some issues. Let's move on. On the one hand, you don't need to say numbers of psychologists because you don't tell us what number. You don't say um yeah, you could have said numerous psychologists, or you could have just said psychologists and experts. That would have been just fine, okay? So, on the one hand, psychologists and experts have indicated that doing an enjoyable activity with children, such as playing sport games, may contribute to dramatic benefits in children's development. This is because they perhaps acquire both creativity and life skills. Take sport class, for example. Children learn how to cooperate with teammates, in which they develop these so called life skills, such as conflict solving. While children interact with others more frequently, they are more likely to be inspired by various ideas. By doing so, their imaginations are gradually cultivated. With regard to this statement, I suggest that doing an enjoyable activity with children is the more appropriate way of having children's potential. Okay, so I didn't understand this. What do you mean of having children's potential? Do you mean developing, reaching, actualizing? These would have been better words here. That was fine. I didn't understand that you did this here, these so-called life skills, because you didn't do it here. This is the first time you mentioned it. So if you were going to do that, you should have done it here and not in the second time you used it, okay? So you could have said this is because they perhaps acquire both creativity and so-called life skills. That would have made sense, okay? And then I didn't really understand this. What does that mean? They are more likely to be inspired by various ideas. When you use something like that, various ideas, you're not being particularly specific. And so we don't really know what these ideas are. So it's just rather vague and it's not really helping you. Okay. Um, However, having said all of that, I thought that a lot of this was actually quite good. There was some nice vocabulary, there was some nice grammar, and a good flow, other than these mistakes that I'm referring to now. Okay. All right. So moving on. So here you're in favor of the other. Okay, fine. The activities. On the other hand, most educators claim that reading can be considered as a process of exchanging ideas between authors and readers. As a result, this should be singular, children's imagination may be inspired unconsciously, which resembles a way of cultivating their creativity. While some people are satisfied with the significant influence on children's creativity resulting from the habit of reading, a number of opponents argue that reading possesses SES. I don't understand that faint position. That's not a collocation that feels natural in English. So that reading possesses something in developing other skills such as communication and teamwork. Oh, okay. So you're trying to say, let me see. A number of opponents argue that reading, how about fails in developing other skills, or reading lacks the ability to develop other skills. That would have been okay. Considering the above, wait, that, no, you needed a comma here. Considering the above explanation, I believe reading is a less effective method for children to acquire different skills, even though it seems to be highly helpful in inspiring children's creativity. Okay. So, to conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly agree that doing a joyful activity is the more ideal method. That doesn't, no, you can't, this is an absolute adjective. So there's not less ideal, more ideal, or most ideal. It's just ideal. So you shouldn't have put this here. So it is the ideal method to develop children's, not, no, to develop both children's creativity, but also other skills rather than reading. All right. So I want to talk now. We talked a lot about grammar and some, it was basically a lot of like lexical issues. We talked a lot about that. What I want to talk to you now about is the order of your paragraphs. So this is the paragraph where you're actually arguing your position. This really should have gone second. And there are a lot of reasons for that. It's a more logical way of doing it. So first we talk about the side that we don't support. And that really would have made sense here because you're essentially in this paragraph about reading, you're kind of poking holes at the argument in favor of reading. So you're saying, oh, yeah, it's good for this, but really, ABC, it's not good for those things. So this should have come first. Okay. And then this would have made more sense. And then, you could say, yeah, but look at this. You can develop this skill and this skill by doing this activity. And so that would make a stronger essay, better organized, more logical, and then it finishes strong because that's what you want in your essay. You want it to finish strong. Okay, so some good stuff here, but I want you to be careful with some of this awkwardness, some of this like imprecise vocabulary. That for me was probably the biggest error, as well as this problem here with your position statement that it didn't really make sense that you were going to analyze both sides, even though you said this. So you need to be a little more specific with your statement. If you're going to talk about both sides of the argument, then you really need to put that forth in your position statement. All right. So keep at it. I know that you've signed up to a package that doesn't contain essay corrections. I hope that we can see some corrections, some essays from you in the future, so that we can help you with your writing. So best of luck with your course.